What's up, everybody? Welcome to Ballers and Briefs. Top
We
five
back.
favorite free agent signings for the NFL season. I know we're a little behind on free agency. We're getting ready for the draft, but we want to get this
Yep,
quick recap in for you guys
definitely.
and give you our thoughts about what we've seen so far.
Give it a ballers and briefs type spin a little bit. Give our little
Yes,
intake. You might have heard others, but that's okay. We're giving
yeah.
a fresh
So
one today.
we got you guys some great some great visuals, and we want to hear what your guys' thoughts are, and let's just get it cracking.
We step our
So
game up a little bit. Let's not try to, downplay that a little bit. We try to step our game up for the viewers. We're trying to give you the best product we could possibly provide for you. That's
yeah,
what we got to do at Ballers and Briefs. We're trying to give you the best.
we
Here we
gotta
go.
get different, and that's what we did. We
And we
got
gotta
different.
get different. We gotta keep
Yes,
the motto going. This doesn't
yes,
end. This is 24/7. This is a lifestyle. This is a
yes, it
lifestyle,
is.
baby.
And as if you all didn't know, B Kill, the founder of Keel Athletics, got to get him a good hand clap going right
We
now.
going. You know,
Look
we
out!
doing
Be
some
on the
things here.
lookout for football gloves, football towels, athletic apparel. My man,
It's coming.
this way.
It's coming.
So let's get
It's
straight
coming.
into it. So, top five signed free agents. This is just basically based on what we saw as a whole and what we think will help such teams and players so far this upcoming season. So,
And I
without
will
further
warn the viewers
ado,
that I am a diehard Jags fan. So if there's a player that's going to the AFC, I might give a little biased take. I will warn now. Still Duval till we die, but here we go.
so let's go straight into number one. And this is not in no sequential favorite order. This is just five players that we like. So let's just give the man his due. Um, King Henry moving over into the AFC North, getting the hell out of our AFC South. I'm tired of seeing him run over us year after year after year. He's going straight to an
Agreed.
offense that is going to uh, make him use his skill set the way that I think it should be used.
I
So
agree. Um, he's a 10 times better version of Gus Edwards, who they just basically released and kind of brought him in to be that power back. I believe I'll have to double check the stats, but I believe Gus Edwards went double digit touchdowns this year, or if not
I
very
believe so.
close. He was on a very strong streak, and I just can't see how you don't. If you insert an even bigger back, an even stronger back with better vision, better cut moves, better ability to shake off defenders. What that's going to add to the element of the offense because you're now definitely worried about the run game and not just from Lamar Jackson, which adds definitely a new element to
I mean,
that Ravens
Lamar
offense.
leading rusher on the team this last season. They did lose both of their running backs to mainly, I guess, high end running backs that they had. Keaton Mitchell lost during the season. Dobbins lost like first game of the season, and then you had the Gus Bus running wild. But I think that going to see King Henry working with Lamar in that Todd Monken offense. Here's just his stats from 2023. 280 attempts, 1,167 yards, 12 touchdowns. It just didn't seem like with that mediocre Tennessee offense that he got the ball into the end zone that much. I felt like he wasn't there that much. About 4.2
And
yards a
that goes
carry.
to show you the testament of how good Derrick Henry truly is when you have an offensive line that was subpar the entire year. I know as a Jags fan, watching them at least twice a year, but also in fantasy, and you would see that that was definitely what was harming his production and sort of tampering down his production early in the year. But as I've always said in sort of previous podcasts, that towards the end of the years is where you start to see Derrick Henry do his best work in November, in December, as the linebackers and that secondaries of defenses start to get tired, start to get exhausted from all of the hits, all of the contact from the year before. So I just again, this is actually my number one pick out of the whole group because I just love the fit. I actually kind of wanted Jaguars to be one of the possible suitors for him because of just how bad he's crushed us. He's also a Jacksonville sort of guy in the sense he grew up in the Yulee area.
Yeah.
And so I definitely sort of could see him being our power back over in the Jacksonville area. I know we kind of already have kind of slotted that role to Tank Bigsby, but I just felt that that would be sort of that toughness factor that the Jaguars definitely needed on our side. So I kind of hate that he's going to an even stronger team than he was already on, because that's potentially for seeing him in playoff time. And as a Texans fan, Cody, that's not who you want to see at the end of the year.
No,
you don't want to
no,
see
it's
him
not. I mean, literally, that's what we
That's not
saw.
who you
We
want.
saw this past season, and it was that type deal. I mean, we just got stomped in the ground, even though we had played them earlier in the season and played closer. It's just that I felt like that team was rolling. So they got the head locomotive pushing down. Lamar making ways, good pass protection. He's good at pass protection. Obviously, here his receiving stats only had 28 yards for 28 receptions for about 214 yards, no touchdowns. But that magic number at the bottom, 17 games played, tells you everything you need to know. Ultimate professional, great guy. I like it for Derrick Henry. So I think the King is got a new throne, and it looks like it's in Baltimore. So let's jump right into number 2. I think this one was probably the most, in my mind, one that most people didn't anticipate where he actually went. I think everybody knew he was leaving Minnesota. Kirk Cousins headed to the NFC South, Atlanta Falcons. Phil is not here to shit talk the Falcons, but I hate to say it, the Falcons look like they are in win now mode, bringing in Raheem Morris as a coach and bringing in Kirk Cousins as the field general. So,
agreed.
That completion percentage.
I think though, if you notice Kirk Cousins in this move, is because he almost took a sort of a Tom Brady move. You're sort of into the end of the career. You're looking for sort of some young weapons, sort of like what Tom Brady had in Tampa Bay, where he had Evans and Godwin, and even brought in a sort of a vet in Gronkowski. But when you have those weapons at a later stage, it's a lot easier to be even better as a quarterback. I just see this sort of plug and fit. Out of all of the fits, this is sort of the best fit in the sense of he could go right in. I see if that ankle and that Achilles heals the way they believe it to, given the amount of money that they gave him, that this could be a really good fit. The way he passes anyways isn't really a down the field type of game anyways.
But he can. He can get the ball down the field. That's
his element. So I think again that the players that he has in a Drake London, who may not be a speedster, but can still get that deep in route in 15 to 17 yards, is shown to put up 100-yard receiving games. He'll fit in great. I'm really hoping for Kyle Pitts, man, just for his career when you're almost able to press.
I think that Kyle Pitts, I saw something earlier. People were like, I have officially quit you, Kyle Pitts. It was like a boyfriend girlfriend thing. I've quit you. And he's like, oh, Kyle Pitts comes around. He's like, guess who's back again? And he's like, I got a brand new friend. And he brings Kirk Cousins with him. He's like, hey, you remember me? I'm back. I've got somebody to throw me the ball now. So Kirk Cousins, Kirk Cousins loves person that can work in the middle of the field like he did. I swear he threw the ball to Adam Thielen in that dirty spot where even London likes to line up in there too, but Kyle Pitts can line up there. And now I think he's at the portion where maybe in his career, I'm not knocking Dalvin Cook, but I literally think that he has the best running back he's ever had in his career. I would say skill wise, right? Best skill wise running back he's ever had in his career in Atlanta with Bijan. Look for the Kirk Cousins dump offs to Bijan Robinson.
That's very true.
All day, every day. And don't sleep on him, like them getting carries in, like them bringing in like maybe a split back type set, because this is that Sean McVay offense that Zach Robinson is bringing over with Raheem Morris from the Rams. So this is a Sean McVay type scheme, and that's what Kirk Cousins ran with Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota. Yep. So lots of motions, lots of inside, like single back set, coupled 3 wide receivers, here and there, and a tight end. So Kirk Cousins, I mean, this is in 8 games. Over 2,000 yards in 8 games, pretty much 70% completion rate, 18 touchdowns, and a quarterback rating of 103. So, like, I looked at this, and according to, I believe, ESPN, he was like the 5th or 6th ranked quarterback in this season, and he only played in 8 games. If that was continue, he probably would have been in the top 3. So,
yes,
here's looking at you, Kirk Cousins. I believe Falcons could be top 1, maybe favorite in the NFC South this upcoming season.
And it boosts it boosts a lot of the players now, like Drake London, like Kyle Pitts, all of those players from a fantasy perspective. As we kind of dig into it from that in a season-long perspective, you have to now expect some of these guys to go maybe even a little bit higher. Bijan now feels like a sort of a Saquon type of situation where he can now definitely see the dump down, definitely also see the carry. So you're getting an all-around back potentially next year, which is very, I'm sure, exciting for those type of owners. So keep that in mind next year. I'm not giving up on Kyle Pitts. I guess it's just the Florida Gator fan.
Tight end number 7 after we're going into today.
He has the talent. Okay. So yeah, that sounds about right. And I think he can have, production similar, not on that par, but similar to why is his name escaping me? The tight end from the Vikings.
TJ Hawkinson?
There you go. Yes, TJ Hawkinson. And having similar production as he had. Kirk's a big fan of the tight ends.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's move into one that I hold near and dear to my heart. H-Town till I die, So I think this is if I had to go back and pick a number 1, I think this is my number 1 signing. We needed a running back.
Off-season moves, because I know you got you guys got Diggs as well, but you still feel that this is
as free agency, like specifically a specific free agent signing. I believe Joe Mixon, and if you guys stay tuned, I got one more for you at the end too. So I think that Joe Mixon, especially on the offensive side of the ball, it helps CJ's production, his growth, a running back that essentially had 227 attempts. The numbers are right here. Over 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns, which is not a ton, but it's only 3 off of where Derrick Henry was. But what's surprising to me is look at the yards per carry. That's 4 yards a carry. Derrick Henry was only averaged 4.2. So Joe Mixon still runs hard, right? And he's young. And
the standard is 4. Is 4. Anything
yes, right? So, and then his receptions, he had 52 receptions for 376 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's, and again, that magic number of 17 games played. So he's not been hurt. He's not been off the field this last season, and he can catch the ball out of the backfield. And I think Bobby's offense will suit him enough to where he can get him in motion, make him move, let him pass protect. And also where we saw Devin Singletary kind of came on at the end of the year last year, Joe's a better version of Devin Singletary in every facet of his game. So if Joe just runs with what the type of angry runs that he does when he does run the ball, and I think this will be a match made in heaven, especially for all the other weapons and everything that we just now acquired in Houston. But I think that this is one of the most important, if not the most important, offensive key addition that we've added, because yes, we already had, in my opinion, two top at least 20 wide receivers, and that counts for Tank Dell's leg being broken, right? Nico was a top 10 probably wide receiver, or top 12 at least.
So, based off of statistics.
And I mean, according to I believe it was PFF had Nico like in top 3 as a top 3 wide receiver. I'm like, okay. Yep. And then everybody's anointing CJ top 5 quarterback. I'm like, please don't anoint him yet, because I don't want that to backfire in our face. But as a Texans fan, I love to see it. So, I mean, as a Jags fan, I know you don't love to see it. So,
yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough. You're kind of watching, someone else open up presents. You're like, wow, man, wow, you got, this toy, and wow, you got that toy. And you're kind of looking at your side, and you're like, well, I got a couple of things, but man, those toys over there are pretty cool. I mean, if I could, looking at this graph, if I could kind of sort of take the John Madden circle and kind of circle that 52 catches for the 376 from a fantasy perspective, that's where I'm looking. Because if you can get that running back that can also get you those catches, that's the difference. I'm telling you guys, that's the difference between winning that season long and losing. Is having that running back that can get you both that rushing production and those just a couple catches a game.
That's 52 yards for 42 points. That's 52 points and catches.
7 points. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's total. And also look at the production. 17 games played. That's very difficult for a running back in the NFL to be able to do that. That shows size, and he's a bigger back than sort of the other backs that you guys had last year. So now you're bringing in, I believe, a guy that's around 6 foot 220. That type of build allow you to have a frame that be able to withstand the hits in the NFL. So again, I'm very interested to see how all the puzzle pieces come together, because sometimes in offenses where you have a lot of new toys, you want to get them the ball, but how does that affect the chemistry and the flow of sort of what really made you guys great last year? And so that's always the interesting thing, is can you add these new pieces and everybody works harmoniously together, and it's as great offense as it was last year. And I think with Stroud, you have that because he really seems super cerebral and able to kind of really get the ball to the best option available, not necessarily concerning himself about who's getting touches, but that could change.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll with that being said, Joe is the man, and I look forward to it here. So let's go to our next member on the board. This one may come as a shock to most people. Why the hell are you putting an offensive lineman on the top 5 free agent signings? My thought to this is this affects his career and another man's career very, 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 very much. Aaron Rodgers. He needs someone to protect his blind side. And who better to do it than one of the best, I would say, at least in this generation of offensive tackles, and then Tyron Smith. He did it at a high level for many years with Dallas. And if he can play in 14 games like he did last season, I mean, that's not a full season, but 14 games, that didn't include any playoffs or anything like that, because they didn't make it to the playoffs, obviously. But if he can do that, I mean, snaps played, 847. He only had 3 penalties and only allowed 1 sack. 14 games. So the numbers are pretty good there. And so Aaron Rodgers always works really well when he has a great left tackle like he had in Bakhtiari in Green Bay and Tyron Smith now with the Jets, because that's what I think that they thought they were going to get Bakhtiari, but they went with Tyron Smith instead. So this is kind of, I know Dallas fans are like, oh, damn it, we're losing the best, our offensive line, or good riddance, one of the two. I don't know. So, but, I mean, offensive line is offensive line, and that's a very important position, because that's why these guys are talking about being in the draft top 10 picks, right?
Agreed. I think that from a fantasy perspective, as you said, having Aaron Rodgers feel a little bit more protected on his blind side could potentially then lead to more success offensive production, both from a fantasy point and just regular offensive production in the game for both the running and the passing scheme. So I think that's how valuable a Tyron Smith is. And also he could potentially sort of, change an organization, bring a different element to the game, bring a little bit of veteran leadership to that offensive line. And so having that with having Aaron Rodgers there as well will definitely sort of add the sort of veteran approach. It seems that that's what the Jets are trying to do, kind of bringing a little bit more veterans, and then one round hurrah and see what happens, see if we can get a championship. And so again, from a fantasy perspective, this opens up Aaron Rodgers to potentially that could be the difference between 250 yards and 320 yards. To be honest, having that great of a left tackle opens that possibility towards those downfield throws, and that's
If he
where
could
Aaron
stay,
Rodgers is. Aaron Rodgers, when he has time to throw, makes magic happen on a not on his level. I don't want to say a Patrick Mahomes level, but the ability to scramble around and do his thing that requires that great offensive line play.
definitely, definitely. So this is gonna be key, I think, to your Brees Hall, your Garrett Wilson, and even those who shall take the chance on the signing of Mike Williams. So Jets only can go up from here, I believe. So
Yep.
now on to the fifth and final free agency signing. This one, again, everybody's gonna be like, why are you care? It's not offense. Personally, again, I know this may look like it's biased, and you'll be like, Cody, you put all these damn slides together. What the hell is going on with you? You didn't pick anybody from anything else. I would love to hear what everybody else has to say. Drop it in the comments. We'd love to hear it. This one, I think, makes total sense, and this is such a D'Amico Ryans move that I could see it when it happened. I was like, oh my God, we're going all in, right? Danielle Hunter leading the Vikings, coming to Houston. That number, 16 and a half sacks, is just chef's kiss, right? Like when you got Will on the other side, Danielle on one side, and then you can rotate everybody else in and out. And it puts the pressure on the quarterbacks, and we need to put pressure on quarterbacks in the NFL. Like that's why these edge rushers get paid, and that's why they are high-end draft picks nowadays, because I would say the top 5 most important positions in the NFL right now: quarterback, maybe edge rushers,
Maybe
probably left tackle,
receiver.
a corner, probably a top-end corner, and maybe I don't even know if wide receiver, maybe 5
Potentially.
Yeah. So that's the edge is key. So I think that you get a good edge, and I think that Danielle Hunter has showed that he's worth it. And again, I keep coming back to this number: 17 games played. 17 games played. I may be jinxing all these guys, but that's 17 games. We just saw that Tyron Smith only made it through 14. So, if a guy can play 17 games, and then, 23 tackles for a loss also. So that's at least 23 yards back the other direction, right? So, that works. That works for me all day, every day. So, but yeah, you as a
Let's keep
defensive
in
guy,
mind too. You do in any sort of fantasy platform where you're doing a lot of season long or even daily long fantasy. One of the options is defense. So from that perspective, and also we've seen defenses, playing in the captain spot on a daily fantasy perspective, win those tournaments. And then we've also seen, I know I have, where you could be down in a game with just a defense and they put up 25 points. Well, this defense is getting to
16
that
and a
type
half sacks.
level where you could
Points.
potentially have, you can have a 20-point swing game, a couple sacks from Daniel Hunter, a pick six, and things change. And so I think it's always good from a fantasy perspective to also watch the defenders and not just key on the offensive side, because you could wind up getting the wrong defense at the wrong time. It could cost you in the playoffs. It could cost you in just a regular season game. So it's always keep mindful of the great sort of defenses and sort of how they're stacked up, how they're aligned. When you have players like a Daniel Hunter and then the Will Anderson on the other side, you should expect, a couple sacks a game, at least. And so again, you can kind of take that in perspective when you're deciding on, that late round pick. Hey, I think I might want to grab the Texans defense now. Instead of, kind of allowing that to slide out. Let me go ahead and put that in mind, keep that for now. And maybe roll that throughout the year. Maybe you switch it up, but maybe you keep that still in your back pocket because that's a good defense. At least on paper, what we're seeing so far.
Oh, definitely. So for the ones that might have just logged in, ticker at the bottom's got all 5 of the top 5 free agent signings that we come up with for this upcoming season. Derrick Henry in Baltimore, Kirk Cousins in Atlanta, Joe Mixon in Houston, Tyron Smith in New York, and then, of course, Danielle Hunter in Houston. So we'd love to hear what you guys think about it, and let us know. These are just basically football moves. We will be coming out with actually fantasy impacts, guys that are still available, and some more videos. So just keep us tuned in, keep the dial locked in, the Ballers and Briefs, and we love to hear from you. We love to see it. So we appreciate it, and we will catch y'all in the next video.
Shoot us a like if you can. Subscribe if you can.
We're on Twitter, Facebook.
We're on all the major platforms. We're reachable. If you had any fantasy questions, just want to know, maybe you're already doing some snake drafts. I know there's some people who do different things where they're drafting kind of early. And you need some help, let us know. We're here. Shoot it in. We'll get back to you with a response.
Yep. All right, we'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.